All right. Thank you very much, Officer Len. We do have a guest here joining us in studio. We're talking about these protests taking place, and Congressman Adam Schiff is joining us now to talk about the election. And of course, now we're seeing these 2 days of protesting taking place all throughout the country, and now here in Los Angeles. What are your thoughts when you're seeing this?
Well, I can certainly understand the concern that a lot of the protesters are raising. I was at a Boys and Girls Club here in Los Angeles yesterday, and a number of the kids were in tears on election night, worried that their parents were going to be deported. I was at an LGBT function last night, and a great many people worried about whether they could marry the person they loved or stay married to the person they loved. So there is a lot of fear out there right now. I would think, though, while I certainly support people's right to protest, doing it in the middle of the freeway and people trying to get home from work may not be the strategically best place to do it. I don't know that engenders a lot of sympathy for the cause, but I absolutely understand what people are concerned about.
Right. Congratulations on your re-election, by the way. I'm sure you're happy that that's all over.
Yes,
You're
indeed.
A strong supporter of Hillary Clinton. Have you been able to speak with her or hear from her?
I have not spoken with her. I have to imagine that she wants a lot of privacy with her family right now. I can't imagine a more difficult election loss. Particularly when the expectations were so high and everyone went into it, probably on both sides of the aisle, thinking the result was going to be different. So I can't imagine how hard that is. But, you know, I think in the national interest, her concession speech was exactly the right message. We need to come into this new presidency with an open mind. As the President Obama said during his meeting with President-elect, we need the presidency to be successful. We need him to be successful because we need to move the country forward. So we're going to look for common ground, I think, on infrastructure, talking about our freeways, improvements to roads and highways. That's something he wants to do. That's something we Democrats want to do. In other areas where he wants to roll back a lot of the progress we've made, he can expect a big fight on his hands.
What do you think? You just talked about it right now, about President-elect Trump meeting with President Obama. How do you think now it goes from the campaigning to the actual job of president for President-elect Trump?
Well, I think the president-elect is in for a rude awakening. You know, there's a benefit to being outside the political process and as an outsider. But at the same time, when you haven't had experience in governing or legislating, it's a steep learning curve, and he's about to find out that it's one thing to be out on the stump. It's one thing to have a good slogan. It's another to actually have the responsibility of putting things together, getting things through a Congress that's bitterly divided, and making progress. Just to give one example, you know, one of the, I think, turned out to be an effective campaign pitches was to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. But, of course, we never heard what he was going to replace it with. Now he'll have to answer that question, and he'll find out that that answer is a very complicated one and may not be as simple as he thinks. It might mean millions of people lose their health insurance. It might mean people with pre-existing conditions can't get health insurance. So that is a very difficult issue he's about to find out, let alone his proposal to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it.
Oh,
so
that's a whole other issue.
He's about to come crashing into reality.
Right. And you met with Paul Ryan today, and with the Republicans in the House, the Senate, now the White House. What kind of challenges are you expecting?
Well, he's going to have a big challenge, frankly, from both parties. If he, as I mentioned, tries to roll back some of the hard-fought progress or tries to diminish people's individual rights, he's going to find staunch opposition among Democrats. At the same time, a lot of what he's proposed is antithetical to GOP doctrine, so he's going to have opposition from Paul Ryan. They have been at loggerheads during the campaign. Ryan refused for a long time to even campaign or say his name. And they have major differences, as Trump does, with a lot of conservatives. So there's going to be a lot of infighting among the Republicans for you know, their priorities. There's going to be a big challenge where he contests Democratic priorities. And the big question mark overhanging all of this, I think, is who is this guy? Because his positions over the years have been nothing if not malleable. He was strongly pro-choice. Now he's strongly pro-life. He was pro-trade and outsourcing. Now he's anti-trade and outsourcing. He was pro-Iraq, and then he's against the Iraq war. So we really have no idea who President Trump is going to be.
Well, it's going to be exciting to see all of this unfold. The last question, I know it's on a lot of people's mind. Talk about the bonuses for the National Guard troops, and will the legislation have to get involved in this? How will this is a California issue, I know.
It is, and Senators Feinstein, Boxer, and I are working on legislation that we hope to introduce when we come back into session, or even include within a defense bill that would be taken up in the lame duck that would basically say, back off. We don't want to see guardsmen and women who accepted bonuses and had every reason to believe they were legit have the government come after them and make them pay back these bonuses. That would be a terrible inequity. If there were some people that were involved in the plot and there were at least one officer with the Guard, one of the management who went to jail, if there are people who knowingly took bonuses that they had every reason to understand they were not eligible for, that's one thing. But you don't throw a cloud over everybody else. And so I'd like to see anybody who paid those bonuses back get their money back with interest. And I'm confident we're going to resolve this.
What would you tell a teenager like these protesters how to cope with the fact that they are not happy with the election outcome? And what would you tell them? Because it is a democracy, and this is who our president-elect is. You know,
I spoke to a group of young people last night about exactly this. And what I said is, you know, I've been around long enough now to know at times you get knocked down. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you live to fight another day. Right now, it seems like the world has come to an end. But you'll see, for every bad day, there are better days ahead. And you just got to stay in the fight and not give up. And then there's an opportunity to make progress. And so it looks very dire. My daughter's a freshman in college. She says people on campus are in tears. I've been trying to console her and others that there are better days ahead.
Yeah, same with my daughter. She was in tears and said, you know, this is the way it's going to be. And let's find another way to be productive and proactive. Yeah,
yep,
so
absolutely.
Good luck to your daughter in college. Good luck to Dad, too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hard.
Exactly.
Congressman Schiff, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.